Most vendors don't think something bad will happen to them at a farmer's market until it does. It could be one accident, one slip, one tent being blown over, and it could cost you thousands of dollars, or worse yet, it could destroy your business. Today, we're going to be talking about farmers market vendor insurance, what it is, why you need it, and some simple steps to help protect yourself. I'm Bill Davenport with Anchored Market Ventures and the Florida Alliance of Farmers Markets. We're all about vendor and market empowerment. If you'd like to stay connected with tips, join our Farmers Market Junction newsletter. We give you a free ebook of 125 vendor tips, totally free. And it's a great way to stay connected to farmers markets, vendors, and a lot of knowledge and tips that can help you out along the way. But jumping into it, what is vendor insurance? Breaking it down into simple terms, it's business liability insurance. It's insurance that's there to protect you and your business in the unfortunate event that something bad happens. Many markets require it. We're coming into a day and age where um, markets have to protect themselves. Cities, if it's on city property, has to protect themselves. Private property owners, if it's on their property, have to protect themselves. So insurance is becoming a thing that you're seeing more and more markets, festivals, and events require vendors to have before they can set up and sell at those markets. It protects you as a vendor in case somebody gets hurt, your property gets damaged. It protects the market, and it just ultimately covers accidents that may happen at your booth, whether they're your fault or not. Why vendors must have insurance? I'll tell you, when I started um, in the farmers market business as a small coffee roaster, I was kind of the mindset, eh, I don't really think vendors need insurance. But I'll tell you, over time, being in farmers markets, being a vendor, and then running farmers markets, it's very much something that every vendor needs to have. I've seen accidents happen. We've had to use our insurance at the markets um, for stuff that wasn't our fault, but it protected us. And we've seen other vendors, not only at our markets, but at other markets across Florida and across the country, where they've needed that insurance to save them from potential devastating losses for an accident that happened at their market. Why you got to have insurance? Accidents happen, and normally they happen when you least expect it. Tents blow over, customers trip on your tent and get hurt. Um, you sell a product and somebody claims that they have had an allergic reaction to your product. You're a food vendor and you sell something hot, and a customer burns themselves. Wind kicks up and it blows your tent over and it hurts a customer, or it blows over into the tent next to you and it damages their products and displays. We've seen here recently a farmer that is currently fighting some claims that so far have been unsubstantiated, but they've needed to use their insurance because people are claiming that their products made them sick. Whether it's right or wrong on those claims, that insurance is there to help protect you. There was a craft vendor that sold pottery here on the East Coast up north of us, that during a bad wind and rainstorm, their tent blew over. It destroyed all of their products. And then it also, when the tent blew over, it took out some other tents. That's a situation where insurance is going to help protect them, and it's also going to help make the other vendors that were affected by it whole. It protects you from lawsuits. When these accidents happen, you can be faced with a lawsuit that ranges from anywhere from a couple $1,000s up to 100,000 plus. That insurance is there to help protect you. Without insurance, you're going to be personally liable to pay those expenses out of pocket. You don't need to be in that situation, and you shouldn't be in that situation if you have vendor insurance. And there's a misconception that your LLC automatically is going to protect you from personal loss, and that's not the case. The LLC is a tool to help protect your personal losses, but that insurance is also there as kind of the umbrella to help protect you. And ultimately, having insurance gives you peace of mind. It lets you worry that if an accident does happen, you're going to be protected. And it lets you really focus on your vendor business and focus on selling at your local markets. What vendor insurance actually covers: general liability insurance, which is what most farmers market vendors get. It covers bodily injury, property damage. It has some product liability. Sometimes you'll have to get an additional rider on your insurance, so that's something you want to check. And it covers legal fees in case someone sues you. Jumping into product liability, what exactly is that? That part of your insurance. Um, if someone gets sick from the food that you sell, from cottage baked goods or prepared food, it helps. Your product liability helps protect you there. If you sell cosmetic stuff like lotions or soap, stuff like that, if somebody has a skin reaction from your soaps or your lotion, it helps protect you from that. And then, say a broken item, or somebody trips and items fall and hurt that customer or the person in your booth, it helps protect you that way. And then you have property coverage. Property coverage um, helps protect you against theft or loss of product and your booth equipment, damage to your tent to and from the market and at the market. And it can also help with replacement of gear. Now, sometimes property coverage, again, isn't in your general liability. A lot of insurance companies have it built in, but if not, most of the time you can have it added as an additional rider to your insurance. And then some other coverages that you may want to look at is um, venue damage. Sometimes your insurance will cover that, sometimes it won't, but most of the time it will. But that's something you want to look into. And then if you're doing a lot of promoting and using stock photos for your advertisement, you might want to look at advertising injury insurance as a rider on your insurance, because that'll help protect you against copyright claims, libel claims, trademark claims. But that's rarely something that happens, but is something to be thinking of. And then, what insurance does not cover: it doesn't cover poorly maintained equipment that you know is unsafe. If you knowingly set up equipment and products that are unsafe, insurance will not cover that. Insurance is set up to cover accidents. If you have something that's not performing correctly or it's a bad product, you have a duty to replace those and sell stuff that is in a good state, that's a good product, and to upkeep your equipment so that it's in a good working order. If there's an accident or something happens at your booth and then you go and intentionally damage more stuff thinking that it's going to be included in your claim, that's not covered. There's If an insurance company considers your product high risk, that might be not covered under general insurance. So you might have to look at some sort of specialized insurance to cover your items. And then generally, weather cancellation. So if you're looking to get your booth fees or the expenses with a market back due to a weather cancellation through your insurance, most of the time you'll have to get some sort of cancellation policy rider added to your insurance because it's normally not included under your insurance. I will say as a market manager, if we cancel due to rain and there's somebody that had prepaid, we're going to give that money back. I think that's the right thing to do. I know there's a lot of different takes on that, but that's something you may want to work out with the market or the event you're doing. And if you can't come to an agreement there, if your insurance has some sort of cancellation or weather rider on it, then you can go that route to get it back. But normally that's not covered under your insurance. Jumping into how much does insurance cost for a farmer's market vendor? It's truly inexpensive when you look at what it covers and how long it covers you for the year. Most vendors pay in the ballpark of around $125 to $400 for a year worth of coverage, and that coverage is about $1 million in general liability coverage. Now, some vendors can get it as low as $99 for a year for just some basic general liability coverage, but most of the time it's going to be that $125 to $400 for the year. Now, some insurance may be as much as $400 to $600 for the year, and that's mainly if you're selling some sort of food product, prepared food, or something that the insurance considers a little bit of a higher risk item. But most of the time, you can get within that 125 to $400 range. Things that you want to look at is if you're doing 8 markets or less. Now, this is just kind of my rule of thumb. 8 markets or less per year, you can reach out to these insurance companies and get covered on a per day or per market basis. And most of the time, you're looking at somewhere between $10 to $20 per year. So that's kind of if you're looking for annual insurance, 8 or more events, day by day insurance coverage if you're doing 8 days or less. What they're that day by day is somebody that's a hobbyist or a vendor that is new to farmers market and kind of testing the water. You can start out with that per event per day insurance and then trans transfer it into a blanket policy that covers you for the year if that's something you want to continue doing. And then where can vendors get insurance? There's a lot of insurance companies that'll cover farmers market vendors, but you really want to deal with insurance companies that know farmers market vendors, know farmers markets and festivals and different fairs and events. We're going to have down in the comments below or down in the description below a link to a list of 25 top farmers market vendor insurance companies. They're in no particular order. We're not affiliated or associated with any of these insurance companies. They're just good insurance companies, and it gives you a great starting point to start looking for insurance to cover you and your business at farmers markets. So it's important to call them, compare them. These are companies that specialize in vendor and event insurance. They are familiar with cottage food insurance, with farm and agricultural business insurance. And sometimes it's worth looking into if you currently have insurance for your business, whether they'll cover you for farmers markets or not. Most of the time they will, and you might be able to get a better deal because they're already your insurance provider. That jumps us into what markets are looking for in your insurance when you get it. Almost every market's going to require you to provide a certificate of insurance, a COI. On that COI, you're going to want to make sure that your market is listed as an additional insured, that you have the correct dates or a blanket coverage for the time period you're going to be attending those markets. You're going to want to make sure the minimum liability of your insurance is what's required for the market or events that you're attending. Most markets require a minimum of $1 million general liability insurance, but that's something you're going to want to check and verify with before you get the insurance. Make sure that it's uploaded or provided to the market prior to you attending those market days. And one that happens all the time is make sure that it's current. Make sure that it hadn't expired. It happens. I try to set an alert or a reminder that lets me know ahead of time, normally 2 months out and then a month out, that it's going to expire so that I can go and renew. That's something you might want to look at doing. And then how to choose the right insurance policy. When you're looking, you want to look for general liability and something that provides product liability coverage. If you're selling food, make sure that it covers food handling and prepared foods, that those are covered for you. If you're selling skincare like lotions and soaps, you want to avoid exclusions in your policy for body products, obviously soap and lotions and stuff that goes on your body. So you want to make sure that you're not excluded from those. You want to compare deductibles from different insurance providers. Some people can handle a little bit higher deductible. Some people need a lower deductible. Again, those deductibles can influence the overall price for the year for you, but that's something you want to look at and compare. You want to choose a insurance provider that can get you your COI letters easily so that you can get them to the market and have them on hand to give to the different markets that you're doing. And then you want to make sure that your insurance provider can add additional insurers to your policy in case you start to expand and add more markets or more events. Then it's easy to add those additional insurers to your policy. Some of the biggest mistakes that vendors make with insurance: number one, not having insurance. The days of not having insurance and setting up at markets, festivals, fairs, and different events, those days are kind of going by. We're in a very litigious world. Unfortunately, there are people that are looking to get hurt, looking to make claims, whether they're true or not, and we have to set ourselves up in a position that we're protected as vendors and as market managers. The next is buying per event insurance and then going full time and not renewing it or transferring it so that it's a blanket coverage and showing up at a market not covered. Another mistake is not naming the market or events that you're attending as additional insured. Another is wrongly assuming that your LLC is going to protect you the same way that your insurance protects you, thinking that I'm good, accidents won't happen to me. Unfortunately, they happen, and they happen when we least expect them. Using damaged tents and weights and equipment. Just because you have insurance doesn't negate the fact that you need to still maintain and upkeep your equipment. And then ultimately, just not renewing your policy after it expires. It can happen. So that's kind of the gist of farmers market vendor insurance, why you need it, why you must have it, kind of some things to think about when it comes to farmers market insurance. I hope this helps. If it did, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, give us some comments and feedback. Let us know about what you want us to talk about to help you with your farmers market business and to help you be successful at your local market. And as always, I'm Bill Davenport with Anchored Market Ventures in the Florida Alliance of Farmers Markets, and I can't wait to see you guys out at the next market.